Developing project management plan. We have only one output to focus here, the project management plan. What does it mean? This is a consolidated document of all the partial management plans and all the partial important informations. So this basically describes how the project is going to be executed, monitored, controlled, and closed. So let's move to the inputs. Okay, the project charter, the document that we learned in the previous process, it's the same thing. So we need that here as an input. Okay, so there it was output. Here we need that as an input. Outputs from other processes. From the process table, the process group planning, you can recollect that there are 10 different knowledge-wise management plans. Starting from the scope management plan to the stakeholder engagement plan, there are totally 10 different knowledge-wise management plans. So we have to gather all of them as the input for this. And in addition to that, the other plans like project lifecycle, and the review mechanisms, etc. So all this has to be gathered as outputs from other processes. Enterprise environmental factors, I think we have covered it already, and organizational process assets, we have also covered earlier. So let's move to the tools that we need. Expert judgment. Here also we will be needing experts from the areas, but they are slightly different from the ones that we have used in the project charter, right? Someone who is expert in the topics like technical details, the process documents, the change control experts, or somebody who can identify the right stakeholders for the right job. Such experts are needed in this process. Data gathering, again, it is similar to the points that we learned earlier. Interpersonal and team skills, soft skills, that is covered. Meetings is also covered. Moving on, direct and manage project work. So this is something which is performed not just at one stage, but throughout the process. So mainly focused on execution part. The work involves collecting the work performance and supporting the controlling processes. When we say work performance, how the parts are being manufactured, how the employees are being performed. All this, everything comes under work performance data. So let's quickly see what the outputs are. Okay, deliverables. Deliverables, I think we have already learned this term before. These are usually the outcomes of the project. So it could be a product, it could be a service, it could be a result. We learned it before. Work performance data, the second point, as I just said before, this is to support the controlling processes. It usually involves data logs, the KPIs, the status of delivery, such things. Issue log. So this is something different. We all know what an issue is. So we learned how it is different from a risk, differences between risk and an issue. So this log will have all those current problems, but in a systematic way. This document format is also not important because every organization has its own format, but it should have all the important information in it. Like when I say important information, it could be the type of the issue, who is responsible to solve the issue, the target date of the resolution, or some information on the planned actions also, right? All this comes under this issue log. Change requests, also touched upon this topic before. In this document also, all the relevant data, like what is the change, what are the repairs done, since when it is effective, all such details must be there. Next thing is project management plan updates. The plan we made at the beginning is not the absolute plan, right? So chances are that there are changes happening to it. So they have to be recorded as we go on learning the processes. So every process may or may not have updates to these project managing plans. Similarly, project documents update. Again, what documents are we talking about here? The lessons learned register, the risk register, the assumptions log. So all these documents we have to update after the project or this process is executed. And finally, the organizational process asset updates if we are changing the methods of the company after this process. So we have to update that document also. Long list, right? Okay, quickly the inputs, the project management plan that acts as an input here, the project documents. Okay, here the set of documents, this can differ from the previous processes, right? All the project documents may not be required here. We can gather the data just by the use of lessons learned or risk register, etc. Approved change requests by the change control board, that is also important. Enterprise environmental factors, I think we have already covered this topic, and also the organizational process assets. All these act as inputs for this process. Let's have a look at the tools and techniques that we need. Again, the relevant experts' judgment is needed. So a special expert is consulted also to manage this project work. So that process is important for us. And PMIS, Project Management Information System. This is nothing but getting access to all those softwares and applications needed for the project. In your organization, you must have seen that some softwares have access to some people, and some softwares are not accessible to some people, right? So usually what happens is that these softwares and applications, they are licensed and they are for only limited users. So we as project manager has to control who is using them so that the cost will be within the limit. So it also talks about how we record the information in software. Next thing will be the meetings. I think meetings is quite self-explanatory.